Hello everyone. Um, Although the weather is not very nice today, but it's quite quiet, so generally good for recording when there is no wind blowing. so, it's very interesting to reveal what I've been taught like 20 years ago by my teacher at this Daoyin Heart Set classes back in the day, and to rediscover all those things on my very own, like absolutely from scratch. And this is truly amazing, I need to say. Um, and today I'd like to share some insights I came up with not very long time ago, and essentially those were um, those bits that I was taught back in the day, but um, to learn something and to make it a part of your life, to merge with that very topic, are two absolutely different things. So, I just try to shortly summarize things regarding theory, and then maybe very quickly demonstrate some particular practical things that I currently work on, which are very like in a spirit like my teacher used to teach back in the day. So the entire idea behind this Daoyin Heart Set. If we drop the techniques, if we drop all this like heart related reasons, which are also quite important, but maybe not the most important thing. And the most important thing is that we have the lower center and we have the heart center. The lower center is also connected to the upper center, so like power and consciousness are working in the same phase. And the counter phase regards for the heart. So heart is like counted to these two. So it's like shoulder and hand. This is one phase. An elbow. This is a counter phase. Similar for Zantians. So heart is like this elbow, and that's interesting. So there are only two ways how a human being can live its life. So when we're born, we are getting the fixed amount of life energy that is stored in our kidneys, according to traditional Chinese medicine, at least. This might be thought as a life resource, life power, that as if like that, if we run out of that, then we just die. Okay, and the life itself is the set of opportunities what we can do with this kind of life energy, life power. And when it comes to centers like lower center, middle center, and upper center, uh, it's all about the relationships between the lower and the upper center and the heart center. So, how do they relate? And they may relate only in two ways. It may be either lower center and upper center serves heart, and another way is when heart starts serving lower center and upper center, and that's not very good. So essentially, like from the perspective of heart, from the perspective of religions, spiritual teachings, etc., etc., heart cannot be in a fixed state. Heart may either rising, growing towards the heaven, or it may just be falling down to hell. So all these constant motions, either one side or another, that's the only possible current state of everyone's heart. So uh, it's not much about the techniques and the forms. It's more about the lifestyle. So the way to ruin one's life and to make it worse, and if you believe in past lives and future lives, like for me, it's not a belief; it's just an exact knowledge, but it doesn't matter now. Then it's the good way to ruin your current life and your further upcoming lives, downgrading to like animals, etc., etc. So it's not going pretty much anywhere. So how is that happening in life? every time we spend the heart resource, the heart shining, the all good we have, including love from other people like parents or loved ones or whatever, if we drain this to some materialistic things like skills, stability, property, whatever, in this case, we become like sucked out, and we literally start spending our hearts for the matter of materialistic things, which including very good dantian when you may practice like dantian quite nicely, but this is also the way how to spend one's chi, to exchange one's heart for some mastery of certain style. So you can throw someone through the hip. Yes, this is really cool. You can do a whole lot of styles. You can be like champion of the world, but you know you will not take this to the grave. And the idea behind the life is that what is the main opportunity that is given to human beings when we live our lives is that the heart comes to the life, the heart, the soul, this middle center, call it however you want. So the soul, the heart comes into the life in a certain state. And the idea is that throughout the life, we either make it better to the heart, to the soul, and become a better human being, or we become worse. And depending on the practice within the life, depending on the emphasis which we put, the end result is going to change dramatically. So we can either drain our heart into like down below and downgrade, or we can use the life energy in order to cultivate heart, and that's the way how we can rise spiritually, whatever, like becoming a better human beings. And these two mechanisms are reflected within the human body in the particular types of how one's body can move. And this Daoyin Heart Set is one of the ways how one can develop this principle of making life energy storage, keeping Yin from below, and the consciousness serving the purpose of filling up the heart with this like life energy. So when we spend the life, when we spend the goods, when we spend skills, whatever, for the inner matter of making the heart better, that's the path. And it's not easy to, like you won't be living a monk life, right? It's not really easy to understand like where exactly you draining the heart or where exactly you cultivating the heart, like which lifestyle is better, which is worse, or say you stick to a certain lifestyle that doesn't benefit your heart, but you cannot change it because you don't know how, and it's very hard to do this once and for all. It's very hard. So Taoist tradition, Taoist alchemy, Chinese, this inner Chinese practices, they help to resolve this the following way. They say you can first discover the way how it's done internally within your body. And if you can cultivate it within your body, if you can practice this within your body, you can then project these principles onto the rest of your life. And that's the way to go. So, first, they learn how things work um, internally, and then interchange occurs. And by the time interchange occurs, so this Taoist alchemy is a very long process, very soft, very gentle, but very long. And by the time it's happening, the lifestyle is changing. And eventually, it turns out that the entire lifestyle starts serving the matter of transforming your life energy to cultivate the heart, and not the vice versa, to spoil and to drain and to lose everything. So that's the idea. And the very first form that I'd like to talk about a little bit today, because this is like the insight that my teacher told me like 20 years ago, maybe, yeah, in different words, not always straight, because it's very hard for a 17-year-old, which I was 20 years ago, now I'm 37, to realize those complicated things when you're so young and you don't particularly have those values that allow you understanding things. I'm currently talking about, and my teacher has been talking about back in the day. It was quite complicated, but after so many years, I finally start revealing this like on my very own, and this is so interesting. Like I was wondering, like where does my teacher take all this inner insights from? Yeah, he was taking many of from his own teacher. That's true, but apart from that, he was getting lots of insights, like seemingly from nowhere. And interestingly, that when this matter of start making your life energy servant heart, you suddenly, if you start doing this, you suddenly reveal the source of this hidden insights, and it gets revealed to you from seemingly from nowhere. It's hard to explain from where exactly. It cannot be understood with one's mind, but you can sense it quite clearly. And when it happens, you feel this desire to share this with others, because this is probably the most important thing that a human being can actually do within one's given lifetime. So, please excuse me up front if this is going to sound something like teaching. I'm not teaching anyone. I'm not teaching anyone anything. I'm just so excited with the fact that I can mm, realize it on my own and share it. And this is just so amazing. So, the very first form I'd like to talk about today. So, this form, it's called um, Rise at the Crow of a Rooster. Rise at the Crow of a Rooster. And it goes like this. So, I'm not about to teach or explain how the form is made. You would rather watch the John Guanda, the founder of Daoyin Heart system, who has created this Daoyin Heart Set. It's called Shuxin Pinsuagun in Chinese. If you can't find it, just let me know in the commentaries. I'll probably put a link in the description below the video so that everyone can access that. So it's more like when you want to learn the forms to know exactly how the forms are done, it's better to learn from the sources, not from me, because the way I do it might be a little bit different from the original because of thousands of reasons for that. But like my teacher never cared much about forms. I was caring about forms more than everything else in my life. But interestingly, that 20 years after, I start realizing why he didn't care much about the forms, because it's not the matter of um, care or not care about the forms. It's the matter of if you start revealing some inner principles, the forms that stop matter that much. They don't matter that much when you go in deeper and revealing some inner principles. And the deeper I go, the more I understand that forms are not that important. And the way my teacher did this form was like, if you've seen the version of my teacher, how he did it, without knowing properly some forms, never mattered much. And the original, you could think that those are two different forms. That's entirely two different forms. So he did every single form very differently from the original. And I was relearning this from scratch when I got an access to the original, which is interesting. But those bits regarding the inner work that I learned from him, that didn't make sense to me back in the day, but now I start revealing this from scratch on my own. Then suddenly it all connects all together. So just physiologically, let's say, so we have a lower dantian and the kidneys. The kidneys is the storage of the life energy, and the lower dantian, lower center, is the, you may think of it as an operating buffer of the life energy. So it's so like also it might be thought as a life experience, by the way. And often when we get older, so when we're young, we don't have a belly because we're full of life energy, and it's concentrated here. But by the time we getting older, our experiences growing so big, and we no longer have any life powers, and we become like this. So that's a bit of a problem. We always need to balance uh, between the life power within the kidneys and the life experience. So if the experience is growing too much, it comes for the cost of the life power. So it's important to maintain the balance between these two. So not only relying on life power, you can only do this when you're young, but not rely too much on life experience because you cannot discover new things within your life by the time you're getting older, which is also not very good. And we're getting older when we stop learning. So never stop learning is one of the ways to live the life fully without regret. Um, so this tank of life energy, this tank of life energy, uh, it's like the Taoist alchemy is the process of boiling qi within the dantian so that it gets warm and it starts rising. Um, Another principle is that the qi from heart goes down to the lower dantian, and the qi from kidneys goes up to the heart. And eventually, there is a small uh, heavenly circle that is circulating by the spine, top head, points in the mouth, and then goes down through the perception meridian. So going up through the action meridian and going going down through the perception meridian and connects down below in the Huayin point, by Hui and Huayin points, like two entry points of the spine, let's say, which connects us to the heaven and earth. So, and the body has this triple structure. So, lower dantian, middle dantian, upper dantian. In hands, we have hands like palms, shoulders, and elbows. Now, that's the same thing. And also, we have the hip joints, the knees, and the feet. So, uh, the extreme point of the first form. So we slightly, I'm not doing like this, not doing like this, but I'm going sort of going forwards, so that my heels are slightly going up. I'm not pushing myself, yeah? I'm just slightly going forwards, and my heels slightly goes up. So it's like this. Now this helps me to activate the yang meridians in my entire body. So feet and the hip joints, and then shoulders connecting, relaxing, and the palms. Lalgon points, the center of the palm, is the point where heart opens to the outer world. So when we do this uprising motion, we connect all the yen channels all together, and we essentially like making the life energy like going like upwards. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure of words. I'm sorry. English isn't that good to explain all these things, but it's not the matter of language, spoken language. It's the matter of that these things cannot be understood clearly with the mind, because all this Chinese tradition is more about you just sense it and you think of this from the yin yang perspective and not from any other way to describe the world, basically. So it's very hard to describe this from the Western consciousness point of view. Although my teacher spent his entire life dedicated to that, and I was never up with that much. So the idea is that when we activate all the yang parts, like palms, shoulders relaxing, yeah, relaxing shoulders makes your hand growing longer like this, and the same is happening um, within the legs. So this extreme point, it activates all the end meridians, and this makes the life energy from the lower tank the dantian and kidneys starts rising to the heart, and from the heart it starts um, express into the outer world, let's say. So this is the matter of how to bring the water chi, the chi from kidneys is called the water, bring the water up. And the second part, when we did this, the second part is this relaxation starting from the elbows. So elbows go down, the knees slightly bend, and then I press the Laogun point with the middle finger. And this does exactly the opposite process. So the fire from heart, the uh, energy of fire, chi of fire, calmly goes back to the lower dantian. So again, the first part, the chi of kidneys, is rising to the heart and expressing. The second part, the chi of heart, comes down and it goes back down to the lower abdomen, to the lower center. Physiologically, this is how the blood pressure can be regulated um, quite nicely, especially the lower limit of the blood pressure, which I've been explaining at Walking Shigo in a few videos ago. Because originally this form set is not much about Taoist alchemy. Taoist alchemy is just happening, and it's impossible not to notice how the Taoist alchemy is happening within these forms because they're so fundamental. But initially, the founder Zhang Guangzhou wasn't really much about Taoist alchemy. Maybe he did it on his own. I'm not sure. But when he was teaching, it was more like teaching the magical aspects of the form. So to regulate the blood pressure, like in example, to uh, increase slightly the upper level and then just pull down the lower level. And that is the way how the heart related lower limit of the blood pressure can go down. So we like rise in the upper one and then relax everything, and they both go together, like the upper limit and the lower limit of the blood pressure. uh, I had quite an extensive video on that within the walking shagun. This principle is like we can observe it regardless of particular shapes. It's just a principle related to the blood pressure in the human body, and particular exercises do not matter that much. But in this Daoyin Heart Set, this is also works out quite nicely. But the alchemical aspect, which I'm really interested now, and because this makes whole lot whole sense to the entire being living and practicing, is that uh, like taking all our life energy and make it serve in the heart. So this form, it makes the life energy serve in the heart, and then the second part just relaxing, so that all the passions, all the stuff goes calm down and going back to the lower dantian. The second part is the same, but it's just going sideways with a little bit of working out this part of the back. It's like in Bhagavad there is the form like this. It's a little bit similar to that, so that you can easily move the um, effort, the power from left to right, like this. Because the auction meridian back in here is one of the biggest blocks that we have over in here because of this. So it's quite important to work out this part, and particularly this this form helps slightly working out the left and right, working out this part. That's not as important now. So I really want to go back to focusing on the very important thing. So bringing the life energy like upwards and calm down the heart and go back to Dantian. So this is also known as the breathing of life, the breath of life. And also, it's not only Dantian breathing, it's not only heart breathing, it's also feet are also breathing. So it's like toes and heels, and toes and heels. So breathing with heels is one of the high-level Taoist techniques, which is quite important. So when you can move, when you can sort of breathe through the um, through the heels, literally. So this what makes you sit in zone quite nicely. So I had a my leg hurts today, and if you watch the video where I'm actually doing the form, you might have noticed that when I was doing this form, to this side it was okay, but to this side it wasn't okay. So I may probably show you how this is related to the heel breathing things. So like this, the right side, the one that works nicely for me. So this heel is okay. So I can simply just breathe out and sit down. Now absolutely comfortable. Okay? Because this heel is breathing normally and I don't have a pain in my knee in this leg. But in this one, see, and it's not going further. And if I'm pushing it further, I just feel pain. So I need to ah, still still doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't work well. Yeah, I better not show this. So I just got my leg hurt. So when it's not working, you cannot sit down naturally. That's the problem. So uh, working out the heels, like in this form, uh, sort of helps to free up legs. And if that is the case, you can naturally sit down. Let's say. So yeah, the entire form set. I will probably talk about the rest of the forms further on. I'm not sure. I don't know. It just comes from within. When I feel like I want to share this, it happens. So it's not scheduled. It's not scripted. It's not written. It's just happening. So when it comes to the rest of the forms, they all are based on this principle that life energy starts serving the heart. And then the second form, what we can do with this, and so further on, like all the forms. But this very main principle, like the first form, is very important because it invokes the main principle that is hidden within this form set. And the core idea behind this entire Daoyin heart set, exactly, I'm talking about the heart set now, is that you take your life energy and you make it serving the heart. And in this case, you may live the life which, um, by the end of the life, there would be the change, the positive change in the soul. Uh, if you spend the life energy to make the soul work it out, make it better, become a better human being. And this is very specific to this particular Qigong practice because not many Qigong practices are literally any other Qigong practice that I know. It's all about just how to develop the lower dantian. You need to develop the lower dantian at some point. It's like you need to learn how to swim because otherwise you would drown. You need to learn how to ride the bicycle because otherwise you would fall and collapse. But you don't necessarily have to be the world champion in swimming or in bicycle riding, or if you may want to learn how to drive the car, but you don't need to be the best racer in the world. So lower dantian is something like must have to obtain uh, the very basic level at. But if you try to go beyond the basic level, it like being like this Olympic better, faster, etc. It's the way how the heart gets spoiled, drained, and used for the sake of the outer benefits. But again, the outer benefits last only by the time this body lives. Once this body lives, all this is going just would gone. Even the inner energy would gone. You just get dissolved. It's not going pretty much anywhere. You may rebuild the principles you've been doing in the past life within this life and make it like over and over again, but it doesn't make much sense because you're trapped into within the exactly the same traps or throughout many lives. Because on before, uh, like when you don't use this principle of life energy starts cultivating the heart, it's the path to never-ending matter of being reborn in this world or other worlds over and over and over again endlessly. It's not going anywhere. But this rising, it's only possible when you start uh, like using the life energy to cultivate the heart. So how this is done technically, this form it's teaching you on its own. The forms are made the way so that it's just teaching you, and that's the greatest thing about the Daoyin Shengun system, created by Professor Django Anza, that he made the forms that you don't even need an instructor particularly to reveal the hidden principles behind those forms, and that what makes it this system truly great. And it's on the one hand, like from the perspective of mind, like say compared to Chan Taiji, which is like super complicated, like so many forms, so many like this work of the Dantian seemingly, yeah, so many things. Seems like complicated, and mind is happy because I'm strong. I'm doing so many things. Compared to this simple and calm form. It seems like it's so simple. What on earth can it work out ever? But it turns out that these simple forms has more sense than many other complicated forms. And from the perspective of mind, it's really hard to uh, accept that, I would say. But from the perspective of heart, you realize that you don't particularly need anything else because this fulfills the life completely, and you feel absolutely happy about this. And when the heart, when the life energy starts serving the heart suddenly opens up, and it starts seeing the reality as is without interpretations, and it starts guiding you through the life like a star in the sky, and you know exactly what to do and how and why, and all this stuff. Um, it's like you're serving, uh, like life energy serves heart, and it serves something good, something that has sense. Yeah. Otherwise, if heart starts serving to the lower dantian, it's the beginning of the end. It's not pretty much going anywhere. So, trying to trying to make the life energy cultivating the heart is the very essence of the Daoyin Heart Set. This is from my side, guys, for today. Hope to see you in the next video. Until then, and cheers.